All right, gang, welcome back to Hunger for Horror. I'm Shane, of course. Hopefully, more of you will get to know me. I've been trying to promote my YouTube channel and trying to get more people to tune in. I know that there's people out here that are interested in these things, and I just kind of wanted to be in on the party. Didn't want everybody else having all the fun. I appreciate those of you all that have tuned in, but you all didn't come to look at me and listen to me talk about nothing. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it and show you a few more things I have here. Freshwater. As I've told you before, I love my crocodile flicks. Absolutely love them. But the thing with crocodile flicks is, I'm going to readjust my lighting here a little bit. The thing about the crocodile flicks is, you know, they're hit and miss. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not good. So what else can I say? This one's kind of in between. You know, the CGI is kind of bad. They didn't have a lot of money, but, you know, it was goofy. It was kind of fun. I mean, if you can laugh at it, you know, that's cool. Because it's certainly something you can laugh at. This is one of those things where somebody builds a haunted house and, you know, people start dying in the haunted house. You're trying to figure out who's doing it. It's called Hallows End. Not fantastic, but still pretty good. Something about, you can tell the people that did this really had a good time making it and they cared about the project. So, you know, it's worth a look. It's not great, but like I said, if you get a chance to watch it, it's worth a watch at least once. I've watched it a few times, but I kind of like that particular theme type of movie. Things going on in a haunted house and they're trying to figure out, you know, who's doing the killing. So here is one of those abused spouse kind of movies. And this one actually liked quite a bit. This has got the actress who played Benny from Pretty in Pink. I know that's not horror related. And why would I know that? Okay, I'm an AIDS kid. I grew up. I like that kind of movie when I was growing up. But still like it. It's still a great movie. But this is about horror, not teenage 80s rom-coms. Kate Vernon. Anyway, Grave Matters. So, yeah, she puts up the wrath of a very abusive husband, and well, she only puts up with it for so long. Let's just put it that way. And I would recommend that one. That one's actually quite a bit of fun. Piranha 2, The Spawning. Yes, James Cameron, who you know from Titanic and I think The Terminator, and directed, you know, lots of things. He's very famous. But he wasn't when he made this one. This is where the piranha from the original Roger Corman piranha gets spliced with flying fish. And, of course, you take a bunch of teeth and some wings, put them together, and, of course, you got instant fun and chaos. So that is something that it's not as good as the original piranha. I think most people that have seen all the piranha movies would probably agree with me. But, you know, it's still worth a look. It's still fun. So I'd give it a shot, especially if you like the creature features like I do. Captivity. Alicia Cuthbert, I believe is how you pronounce her name. Anyway, she was in, what was it, Girl Next Door, which I absolutely love that movie. But anyway, this is her. She's been kidnapped and things get really crazy for her, and you kind of watch hoping that she's going to survive all this, and you know, she's put through all kinds of psychological torture and stuff, and it's a good movie. There's an R-rated cut and there's an unrated cut. This was released theatrically. I actually like this if you can stomach it. Some people don't have a very strong stomach for, I mean, it's borderline torture porn, but it's not that bad. It's not as bad as, say, Hostel, something like that. But, you know, it definitely takes a little something to get through it. But it's worth it if you can get through it. It's a good movie, and I would recommend it, of course. Remake of one of my favorites, Last House on the Left. Well, I might as well just bring out the other one, because here's the original. So, the original, of course, was a groundbreaking movie, very brutal, hard to watch, but it's a good revenge story. It's Wes Craven, you know, just making a name for himself, you know, starting to get established. And so this movie, while you feel like you need a shower after you watch it, it's actually a really good movie, and it's very effective, and it has a documentary style look to it. So you almost feel like you're there witnessing these horrible things that take place in this movie. And this one, in the end, ends up being a little more upbeat than the movie that it is imitating. But this is the remake, Last House on the Left. This was Wes Craven sanctioned. Most of you that are, you know, horror fans probably have already seen these and know this. But if you're not, you may not like the 70s style and the musical choices for the original. I actually think that kind of gives it kind of its weird kind of 70s drive-in charm. David Hess, of course, does a fantastic performance as Krug. You believe he's really crazy and that he's going to kill somebody. So it's, yeah, both those movies, the remake, and that actually somebody asked on one of the horror channels on YouTube, favorite remake, one of the people that I watch. And I said Piranha, but, you know, Last House on the Left ranks up there pretty high, too, for as far as best remakes go. And, of course, The Thing is good, and you know, there's lots of others. But anyway, Beyond the Darkness, this is one of my favorite movies. This is a Joe D'Amato movie. This is actually one of my favorites. I would say this would be in my top 30 movies of all time. It's brutal. It's hard to watch. It's got good pacing. There's always something crazy going on in it. This guy's a taxidermist, and his girlfriend dies, and the housekeeper's in love with him, and he can't let go of his girlfriend, so he basically taxidermies her and keeps her around for a while. Kind of creepy, but you know, there's some things in it that make it kind of humorous. It's certainly disturbing. Definitely keeps you guessing and waiting. You know, just can't wait to see what happens next. It's one of those kind of movies. The Howling, my favorite werewolf movie. D. Wallace Stone. I think trying to remember. Slim Pickens is in this too. You know, there's lots of decent werewolf movies out there. You know, of course, American Werewolf in London is great. Company of Wolves. There's one I like called Big Bad Wolf, which I will get to in a later video. I think it's in my, quote, archives. The Howling, if you haven't seen it, you like werewolf movies, fantastic. Here's a very rare film. I've had this forever, and so I bought this when it was out and it was readily available. Apparently it's rare now. This is called The Kiss. This is a very fun, interesting film, and it's extremely rare. So if you do see this somewhere, like I said, you know, great places to find movies for cheap. I mean, you already know to go to Amazon and eBay to find movies, and, you know, you'll probably pay a lot of money for them. But if you luck out and find it at a pawn shop or a half-price books or something like that, and you see this title, you might want to go ahead and just snatch it up. Not only because, well, I mean, if you want to sell it for a profit, that's fine, but these movies, for me, aren't as much an investment for me personally because I love films. I love horror films. I love collecting them. And this is a fantastic, really fun movie. And all right, so I'd buy the film for the film itself. But, you know, you never know. When times get hard and you need cash and you got something that's worth something, it's eat, or do I want to keep this movie to watch again? Okay, I get it. You probably want to eat. So, great movie, Waxwork. Absolutely love this one. This was also available in one of the multi-packs that I showed in a previous video. Waxwork 2. Oddly enough, I've never actually sat and finished watching that movie. I think I started it one day. So it's on my to-do list. But I bought it for Waxwork because I knew I loved it. What do I need to say about this one? Nothing. The Shining. Jack Nicholson. Fantastic. Stephen King adaptation. They did a TV miniseries. It was supposedly more, followed the book more closely. This particular version, the Stanley Kubrick Shining, it's one of my personal favorites. I think it's just really scary. And, you know, the creative liberties he takes with the story really work for me, even though Stephen King preferred the TV miniseries. But to each their own, whatever you like, whatever floats your boat. I'm not one to judge. You like what you like, you know, and I like what I like. Hitchhike, David Hess. Pretty much playing the same kind of role that you see him in Last House on the Left and House on the Edge of the Park. Playing a very nasty man again. Apparently, it's what he's good at. He had a talent for it. He was also a very talented musician and actually did some songs for, I think, was one of the songwriters on a couple Elvis hits or something. So, you know, he died a few years back, and, you know, he kind of got pigeonholed, typecast into playing these maniacal killers, and he was very good at it, but he had other talents too, and from what I understand, he really wasn't a bad guy. He was actually pretty nice. He just played a bad guy so well. Lamberto Bava's Delirium. This is the old Shriek Show edition. This is available, I'm pretty sure, from Ronin Flicks on Blu-ray. I've seen it. I can't remember if it's a Scorpion release or a Code Red. I think it's Scorpion. But I think you can still get this out there. Just you might have to look for it a little bit. But it's No, Italian. It's got who they call the Italian Dolly Parton. Here's a picture of her on the back. You know, she's, you know, got a very curvaceous figure. Hope you can see that. Sorry about the glare. I do the best I can. This is just my little phone. Right now it's the best camera I have, but hopefully my new video camera will be in and it'll be better than the last two that I've tried to use. Silent Scream. This is the original Scorpion release. This is available for sure, I know, from Ronin Flicks on Blu-ray. And this also has Scream Queen legend Barbara Steele, who you'll know from a lot of the early black and white horror movies. So she was around a long time. Don't know if this was her last movie. I mean, but this movie came out in the 80s. I remember it came out in 1980, actually. This is kind of reminiscent of Psycho. It's got a lot of suspense. You know, if you're into slashers and blood and gore, this isn't that kind of movie. This is more suspenseful. This is more like the kind of film I think Hitchcock would make. You know, it definitely has Psycho as an influence. You can tell when you watch it. My dad even said that. I remember that from back when I was a kid. I saw that I was 9 years old. We saw it at the drive-in, and he said, "Well, it kind of reminds you of Psycho." That's good. And he also said that about Funeral Home. Funeral Home's another good movie. And it was on that Chilling Classics pack that I showed you in a previous video. They've renamed. There were some of these movies actually end up getting picked up in that collection by some other labels. And they ended up having to revise that Chilling Collection. It's still called Chilling Collection, but they changed the cover, switched out the movies that ended up getting picked up by labels and got legal right to release them. So that particular version has Funeral Home. I don't know if the revised version does. I looked on Amazon today. You can still get it. I don't know how much it is because I don't think it's still... I don't know if Mill Creek still prints it or not. I'm not sure. But I know Mill Creek put it out. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, or something at the Manchester Morgue. I can't remember the other title. But anyway, this is kind of a zombie flick. It was also released as Don't Open the Window. When I saw it, it was at the drive-in as a kid, and they had it called Don't Open the Window at that point is what it was titled. This is, you know, fast action zombie movie. Just tons of fun. Really enjoy it. Definitely one you should check out if you're a zombie fan. Here is, and I'm going to be getting into some Anchor Bay stuff here that is kind of rare because I've been a horror movie fan all my life. I've been collecting these movies for years. So some of these are, you know, you think people see these and they go, oh, he must have found a deal on that, or he went somewhere and paid top dollar for it. And actually I've had these, you know, since they were readily available. So I've just taken care of my stuff, and I hardly ever sell anything. So The Boogeyman and the Devonsville Terror. Sorry. The Boogeyman, it's, you know, I always wanted to see the movie. I always saw the poster and stuff. Honestly, it's not the best movie in the world, but it's not bad. It's worth watching. I think I like the Devonsville Terror maybe a little more. It's probably lesser known, but I really like that movie. So anyway, see what you think of it. Give it a shot if you can find it. Still, I'm not happy with my lighting. Sorry about that. I picked this up fairly cheaply at a half-price Books recently. Don't know why. I just had the VHS of Hellraiser Forever, and I was fine with it, but got a chance to replace it on DVD, so I thought, yep, why not? And chances are you've seen Hellraiser, and if you haven't, you've heard of it, and there's a reason you've heard of it. It's not because it's bad. It's because it's a really good movie. They've made tons of sequels. The sequels are varying degrees of quality. The first sequel, Hellbound Hellraiser 2, is actually quite good. The rest of them, varying degrees of quality. The Initiation and Mountaintop Motel Massacre. Now, I had never seen either one of these, but I'd always wanted to see The Initiation. That was one of the main reasons I got it. I enjoyed that movie, but I think I like Mountaintop Motel Massacre more. It kind of has a sense of humor to it, and it's all kinds of crazy. It's all over the place. So definitely one I would recommend. If you can find either one of those titles, they're probably available. You know, that's old Anchor Bay, so that particular disc doesn't exist anymore, and usually goes for top dollar. So if you find that somewhere, you know, one of the cheap outlets, get it, pick it up. Movies are great. Might be worth some money if you have to sell it someday. Then, of course, we've got the Bruno Mattei double pack here. Hell of the Living Dead, also known as Revenge of the Zombies, I think on VHS. I used to go to the mom and pop video stores and rent movies. I think that's what it was titled under. Had the same picture, different title. Rats. Rats is fun, too. Rats is a crazy, fun creature flick, post-apocalyptic kind of thing. And Fade to Black. Dennis Christopher. I saw that at the drive-in when I was a kid. It's another Anchor Bay double feature with Hell Night, Linda Blair. Hell Night is one I'd always wanted to see, and, you know, honestly, it wasn't as good as I hoped to be. I know a lot of people really like it, and like I said, that's fine. You like what you like. But I don't know. Hell Night's all right. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'd definitely watch it again. Fade to Black, though, compared to Fade to Black really is the gem here, in my opinion, out of these two. So, Fade to Black, if you can find that, hopefully you'll get a Blu-ray release. If it has, I haven't heard about it. One of my favorites, I think this is one of the most underrated movies of all time. And it says it's from the makers of Last House on the Left. Wes Craven didn't have anything to do with this, so I'm not what this movie has in common with Last House on the Left. But Don't Look in the Basement. This is the old VCI release. This is on all kinds of public domain things. It's available now on Blu-ray with a surprisingly good, very much later made sequel. The sequel was just made within the last few years, and this movie came out, I think, like in 1970. Oh, let me say, yeah, 1972. And Don't Look in the Basement is, to me, the ultimate classic horror movie of the inmates running the asylum. This movie is so much fun. And yeah, it's low budget, but you know, you can tell everybody worked really hard. The performances are actually pretty good. The characters are so endearing and so unforgettable. I really love this movie, in case you can't tell, I'm just gushing on it here. But it is fantastic, and I would recommend it. I'm going to do one more, because this video is running a little longer than I wanted it to, and I got more to bring you, so don't have to worry about me giving you content, because I've got enough to keep us busy for a while. So I'm glad. Thanks for sticking around this long. And here's my last one, The Guardian, William Friedkin. I believe that's the gentleman that directed the original Exorcist. This is a great story. You know, if you have kids and you know, if you're a parent, you can really relate to this and how terrifying this movie is. This woman basically wants to steal your kid, and there's a whole nother twist to this, though. Why is she trying to take the kid? I'm gonna leave that as a surprise. This is available through from Shout Factory, and it's on Blu-ray now. And this was out of print for years. This is the original Anchor Bay Anchor Bay version. So I've told you, if you ever see that Anchor Bay label right there, I don't think my lighting's very good. I don't think you're picking it up. But anyway, Universal did originally release this, and I did see this in theaters, and this is the original Anchor Bay release. But like I said, good news is a whole new generation can experience that movie, because it is now available on Blu-ray. I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. I appreciate your time. I certainly would never want to do anything to waste your time. Hopefully you find this interesting. You like my quick commentaries on these films. And, you know, hopefully you're getting exposed to some things you didn't know existed. You say, oh, that looks interesting. If you ever have questions about any of the films that I talk about in my videos, please don't hesitate to ask me in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. It makes me feel like what I'm doing here is actually worthwhile, and I'm glad to know that you're watching and that you're responding to it. But anyway, thank you all so much, and I will be seeing you soon, I hope. So y'all take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.